from this conference, which is on transforming linked data into networked data economy, the DBpedia chapter session. So basically this session includes presentation from different chapter leads, DBpedia chapter leads, and different DBpedia association members. What is interesting is that those presentations will come from different countries. So we have a presentation from the National Library of Netherlands, then we have Semantic Web Company Austria and St. Paul, Austria as well. Then we have a presentation from Diego from on the Portuguese DBpedia from the University of Paderborn, and then Mariano Rico from Spain, UPM Spain. So I think we can start with the first presentation, which is Enno Meijers from the National Library of Netherlands. Enno, I will just give the presentation role to you, and you can then share your screen and give it a go.
Okay. That's my camera. Here are my slides, if that's all right. Yeah. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Enno Meijers, and I work at the National Library of the Netherlands. And in this presentation, I would like to give a little bit of background on what we just saw in Sebastian's talk about creating the Dutch knowledge graph through the database structure from DBpedia. And especially I would like to tell you a little bit more about the work of the Dutch Digital Heritage Network. And this is a cooperation between all the cultural heritage institutes in the Netherlands. And it's already long-term cooperation, which is really aimed at increasing the public value of the cultural information that is held by archives, libraries, museums, and other institutions. And it's really an initiative powered by our ministry, and it's really about cooperating together in order to create a cross-sector national infrastructure. It's quite a broad program. I'll be focusing more on the technical side of the program, as that is part of the work I'm doing there. And let's see the next slide. Okay. And one of the biggest challenges we have actually in the way we present cultural heritage information, the digital heritage information to the public, is that it's all, and we have splendid services, but they're all quite isolated. If you're in one environment looking at an interesting topic, it's very difficult to get all the related information that we hold in our collections and connected to that. And that's really the basically the classical silo problem that we're trying to overcome here. And for that we started thinking about an end goal, which we call the distributed network of heritage information. And what we really like to achieve is to create a way of organizing the data in the network that makes it very much possible to create flexible services based on a central aggregation of all the relations in the network, and basically you could view this that as a Dutch knowledge graph for digital heritage. But in order to come there, a number of steps are necessary, and of course one of the steps is to make sure that the data that is created in the institutes becomes available in a more interoperable way. And of course, we aim to do that by implementing linked data principles directly in the institutes. And that's a very big part of the program that we're doing this year, actually. And we will be working on this for a number of years, of course, because it's a very large transition, but we're working together with suppliers of management systems and all parties and institutes in order to get things moving in this direction. But when you have the data as linked data available, then it's still necessary to define the network. And the idea of a register, a data portal is, of course, is well known, but in general, the quality of data portals is still a major problem. And we really try to solve this by creating the descriptions for all the data sources really at the source, instead of creating data about data sources. So that's we try to implement this really directly together with the linked data implementations we're doing. Another step, and that's I'm going to show a little bit more about, is about creating the relations in the data. And of course, the relations are often already in the data, only it's not made clearly standardized in a standardized way. And that's, of course, the idea of going from strings to URIs. Based on these actions, we think that we can start building the knowledge graph for digital heritage based on the work we are doing at the moment. And so we were really interested in doing this experiment with DBpedia to see if we can already make a start on creating a knowledge graph in that way. If you look at the shared definitions we need, it's of course the logical things: the persons, places, works, concepts, time periods, cultural objects, and in our domain, in the cultural heritage domain, there are already a lot of work has been done in the past by creating authoritative sources. So a lot of data is already very interesting to use as a reference point. Only in many cases they were not yet opened up and used in a usable format. So we spent a lot of work in opening these sources up and make them available in a broader sense for the network. So we facilitate and promote the reuse of the definitions, so we can make it easier for people to translate their string in their information to the proper URI, or a proper URI, as I should say. And we developed a tool that gave very easy access to all the available definitions. This is a tool we call the network of terms, or termennetwerk as we call it in Dutch. And it's actually, this is a front end of the API, and it searches through the different thesauri and other databases that hold authoritative data, and of course also including external data sources from our network like Wikidata. This is a tool that does a real-time federated query over the different data sources, and it standardizes the results in this case in a SCOS format. And it's an open tool. It's developed as open source software, and it's actually based on the Communica framework from University of Ghent, Ruben Verborg's group. But basically, it's not just the front end, it's basically the API that we're trying to implement in the network. And you see here the GraphQL interface on the API. It supports GraphQL and Sparkle as an interface. And you can implement it in your collection management system or other system where you maintain cultural heritage data. And then you can support easy searches in the different sources, and you can select the sources that are relevant for your context. So because we spend a lot of work on getting the authoritative data in place, we thought it was very interesting to see this experiment with DBpedia for creating the Dutch National Knowledge Graph. And actually a number of the databases are a result of the work we're doing in the digital heritage network at the moment. So the monument, the authors, the artists, and they're all available as linked open data and queryable, and we could easily integrate it using the DBpedia software. And I must say the whole process only finished last week, and I'm still working on seeing the results and checking the things that are in there and see if they if the alignments are made in the proper way and what the data quality really is. But at least it's a very interesting start for us, and we will continue on this work. That's basically what I wanted to share with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Anno. Very nice presentation. I really like your work that you're doing. Let's see if there are questions from the audience. There is one question in is asking, what is the status of links between Dutch cultural heritage link data like RKD and British Museum link data? Yeah,
it's a good question. That's of course a very big challenge to get all the alignments in place, and but also to decide where you're going to build the alignments, and that is a very complicated question. I think what we do at the RKD data, we are heavily aligned to the Getty data in there. So there are links to ULAN and to the AAT. And for us, our strategy is to try to make an alignment to one of the popular sources, and then collect all the links that are aggregated over there. And of course, aligning to Wikidata is a similar way of doing this. But who knows in future that aligning to the DBpedia idea could be the next best strategy. Who knows?
Yeah, thanks. Any other questions? Maybe I have one short question. So what is your estimation for the size of the knowledge graph that you're building? Yeah. Wow. Will you reach Google or?
Well, if you do some counting, we have about 1,500 institutes in our network that have collections that hold at least, well, maybe 10,000 or 100,000 objects. Then the numbers get big very fast. So what we really see in the knowledge graph is the aggregation of all the relations that can support the findability of the objects. That is really our focus. So we don't try to get a complete data, complete knowledge graph of all the data in the network, just enough to support easy findability or browsing through the network, and that is the level we aim for. But I must say I don't have any any idea where this will end. I do think that we end up with several different kind of knowledge graphs actually tuned for different services. So it won't be just one big thing, and that's we try to develop all this in a very decentralized way. So I think it's we'll end up with specialized knowledge graphs in special areas of the network for specific services. I think that's really the end picture, I think.
Yeah, okay, good, thanks. Looking forward to the final results. Yeah,